After visiting the different neighborhoods of the island, Governor Everett Harkins made several important announcements.
Approximately 300 houses have been registered within the characterization of damages, of which 60 have already been identified and 5 have been intervened. The process of obtaining the bank of materials needed for repairs has also begun.
There are several fronts making the characterization or identification of those affected. So today we are building the Administrative Act for the declaration of manifest emergency where public calamity is evident. We have a decree of calamity in force authorized by the Departmental Committee for Risk Management, but the manifest emergency will allow us to take this to the Controller's Office for approval, and once we are approved by the Controller's Office, we will be able to contract the work fronts.
On the other hand, the governor urged the presidents of the community action boards to present projects for the repair of houses in the different sectors of the island.
The 1,000 million approved for the different community action boards, we will approve those resources to be used only for the repair of houses. If they come for another situation, they are warned. Do not waste your time because they will not be approved.
The governor of the department indicated that he has been holding conversations with different foundations and business groups at the national and local level to manage aid and support to obtain resources to support the repairs that the community of the islands needs. He also called on the islands companies to sponsor some of those affected by Hurricane Julia in the department.
The recovery process of the department after the passage of Hurricane Julia is underway. Today, the process of identification of affected persons has started.
The Secretariat of Government and the National Unit for Disaster Risk Management began the identification of homes affected by the passage of Hurricane Julia in San Andres. The authorities are working in coordination with the community action boards and RISAL organizations to collect information on affected homes in the sectors of the island.
We as government will characterize the amount of people that get affected in this hurricane through the Junta de Acción Comunal, who got the president of this junta or the president of the RISAL organization and what we got in the island. We try canalizar or we try get all these help through there or all the information through there. So if you all in one section have a Junta de Acción Comunal or one leader of the RISAL community, we can give them the information like which one, name, cellular, address, what I need, and where I live, for then can bring it to we as government, and we can make one list and send the architect engineer for can evaluate which one is the damage what we have in our structure and our house, and so we can give one material help. That's one way. If we not got none of these organizations or the Acción Comunal, we can come by the Gobernación, forest floor, the Gobernación, forest floor, and we get information to the people from the Junta, from the Risk Management Office. Afterward, we make one consolidate and we get the information. Well, we try to get to know material. The help what we want to give you in this occasion is material. We try to see if through infrastructure we can get some handwork, but primarily is material that we try to get the people in.
The departmental entity started today the interventions to the most affected houses on the island, as well as the attention to the infrastructure at the service of state entities such as the Transitory Center.
A problem that was intensified with the passing of Hurricane Julia has heightened in the El Bar sector. The streets are increasingly difficult to travel on. Residents of this sector told Teleislas News of their dissatisfaction.
Lo que se llama El Bar.
What is known as El Bar on the south side, we are being left without a road, without access to the main road, for which we request a great collaboration from the departmental government.
The access road to El Bar on the side of the South Ring Road around the island, as it is commonly called, is in precarious condition. The resident of this sector points out that the main entrance and exit road to their homes is getting narrower and narrower due to the plants growing on the side of this road.
As you can notice, you have a lot of bush in here. A lot of bush. We can't come out here. The other day I passing and I coming out and a car coming in, and I had to draw up inside the bush to get out, to let the car pass and don't run on me, because the car trying not to go in the bush, trying to pass, and I trying to get out, and it was very difficult.
The biggest problem in this sector is when it rains and the street fills with holes and water. It becomes difficult to drive on.
We need to come and make maintenance. We can help make maintenance, but it's not a lot of us that live this side, but a lot of people pass here. Yeah, no? A lot of people come across here, tourists, residents that need to get outside and catch a bus, that need to go to town elsewhere. So we need the government to come and make maintenance on this place and fix the road because we need it. Not only the first part, when they make maybe a scandal, you don't have to wait for us to make a scandal or a strike to come and fix the place.
Solicitamos la máquina.
We request the necessary machinery for maintenance works to be done on this road. For we're only asking the collaboration with the filler and the necessary equipment to cover these holes that make it impossible to use this road from the entrance of El Cibar through the south entrance.
According to residents who sent videos to Teleislas News requesting to document the situation of the street, in actuality the main road is in very poor condition, and with the rain, traffic becomes more difficult. They are asking the government for help to cut the trees on the side of the road, causing it to become more narrow, and in this way making it more accessible. Teleislas News tried to communicate with the Infrastructure Secretariat to learn about the possibilities that may exist to work on the road. However, it has not been possible until the beginning of this broadcast to establish a formal communication with the Secretary of Infrastructure. Teleislas News will keep its cameras open should in case the head of the Secretariat of Infrastructure would like to speak on this current situation.
And in a visit to the courthouse sector where journalist Hilbert Mitchell witnesses the bad condition in which a house that 6 people of the island live in.
In this house, which is undoubtedly unhabitable, 6 racial people reside in it, including an elderly man who suffers from eye surgery and a minor.
I take out my granny first, my daughter, my wife, we start pack up and we start with the more is this thing where we really need this thing. Then everything started blow down and started drop down. And my son said to me, Mamita, no hala, I start hala. And him said to me, Mamita, no hala, run, go, make it go.
During the passage of Hurricane Julia, the house where Margarita Antonio also lived was destroyed. Walking on this floor is a danger, and that was proven by Teleislas News when trying to make a walk through the house. The strong breeze also blew off the roof tiles, which was also recorded on the cameras of Teleislas News.
My husband's sick in Armando Corpus, Mendoza, in blind, he got tumor, he got peripan tumor in the eye. And tumor in my head, and in 2 eyes still blind. So right now, I try to walk out. Him don't know what happened to me right now with the house because I take him out before time. I'm making gone by his sister.
Margarita Antonio lives with anguish of not being able to rebuild her house and hopes to somehow receive help.
I beg the governor to please help me right now with my situation because I have a husband. My husband is blind, and I really need the house.
And during the critical moments that were experienced with the events of Hurricane Julia, a publication in networks went viral since it was the request for help from a family with children that had been trapped under the rubble of their home, which after the passage of strong winds collapsed completely.
After 7 p.m., the cry was heard from the house of Mistress Jomaira, who was trapped under the rubble after the strong winds knocked down the walls and the short circuit set the place on fire. Teleislas News spoke exclusively with the victim.
Yo estaba acá.
I was here, and when the power came on, I plugged in my cell phone so it could charge. The roof went up and down, and the house lit up. I was trapped under the rubble, and I called for help, and the neighbors arrived. Thank goodness the power went out because there was a short circuit and the whole thing would have been consumed with fire. That was a very ugly feeling. About 6 guys who were around came to help me, and one of them had the courage to lift the debris with electricity and all, and I was able to get out with my girls. Thank God we're alive.
On the other hand, the victim indicated that rescue units were called but none attended her emergency.
Una persona llamó a los bomberos, pero los bomberos no vinieron.
A person called the fire department, but they did not come. The police came at 2 in the morning. 2 policemen came to look at what had happened, but they came and left right away, saying that they would come back in the morning, but they didn't come. Until yesterday afternoon, the risk management unit came by and asked me questions, took pictures, and then they left. Please put your hand on your heart and help us, because we have children, but I thank God that we're still alive.
The house where Mistress Yomaira lived with her family, which includes 2 little girls, was completely destroyed. Mattresses, clothes, and other belongings are on no use and were blown to areas near where the house was located. They also had to improvise a bathroom that does not have the necessary privacy for her and her daughters. The Island Risk and Disaster Management Unit indicated that assistance is being arranged to help the family who at the time of this broadcast are without power, clothes, or any resources.
And without a roof, without walls, and waiting for a baby, and with the uncertainty of what they are going to do to improve their home, is the drama that an island family lives in the Perry Hill sector. They hope to get and help fix their house before the baby is born.
The number of people affected by Hurricane Julia continues to increase as the day passes. Teleislas News had the opportunity to record the case of a family in the sector of Perry Hill, where the roof and walls of their humble home were collapsed by the strong winds caused by this natural phenomena. Daisha Sams, a few days away from having her 3rd child, sadly sees what is left of her house. Her anguish and concern grows as she is not sure that her home will be repaired to welcome the new member of her household.
The house that blew off, the wall blew off. I live with my 2 children. I'm pregnant. I live with my husband. I don't stay with hardly nothing. And well, I don't want the government try to help us because we don't have the farm to fix back over or build back over.
Ryan Hooker Linares tried to save what he could of his house, but he did not succeed. He was also injured when he tried to secure his home so that it would not be swept away by Hurricane Julia.
Well, I don't want the government help with all what's going on right here. It was a heavy time. We passed through hard time, hard works. We do different things. We try to help and give it some more damage. Included, if you can see this way, I get hurt, try to save the house. And I want to go and please give me a hand for see all the way happen to the house. All the neighbor, all the people, all the neighbors, them San Andres. All the way happen to it, all the way pass through. It's a heavy time, not because we want it's a time for God, we God make it. I know we want it to happen. I know nobody provoke it, that God know how to do things them. But we get consequences of what happened. Right now, things not the right way if we say we can fix it over our own self. That we can get help to ourselves, but we can't go so strong. The government can get the power and they get what they really need. If we can get away our hand, so we can go ahead and we can make back with strength again. If you see that kind of way, just in going to fix back over everything, over my own self, with things we use already. You know that way. I got my woman pregnant, I have my 2 stepsons. My life right now is not the same. Things harder, my woman soon got pregnant. And I want to go and please give away a hand the nearest you can, the faster you can, so we can come out of this and make my woman get baby right where we can live better.
Other families in the sector also suffered damage to their homes.
Bueno, so that was terrible. Was something that we expect, but we don't expect it so much with the breeze. And I only sorry say everybody who stopped in the Perry Hill section blow off, and I hope the government help the people them. And that's how we begin to help with the house stop. If them don't have the captain, the neighborhood will help, or who the next neighbor help each other. But right now we need the house stop them because everybody house blow off. Some got brick and just so. Everybody help the same day with the hurricane. Everybody come out and help each other, and thank God for that. But the government no they correspond. For last 2 years back was the same thing. Every meeting come, everybody come ask a question and nothing then do. Too much talk and no action. So we hope action there this time because we're tired of this.
It should be noted that the families affected by Hurricane Julia are waiting for the national and departmental government to provide aid as soon as possible to mitigate the effects of the hurricane.
Now it's time for the news of the municipality of Old Providence and Santa Catalina with Millicent O'Neill.
Good evening to everyone. This is important information from Old Providence and Catalina. After the passage of Hurricane Julia, Teleislas News visited several of the homes where minor damage was evident. However, 2 of them show considerable damage due to the strong winds registered this past weekend.
The new house with the FID number 3103 under construction by the consortium CDC Engineering and Architecture suffered great loss this weekend when the winds lifted the cover completely, leaving the structure exposed. The owner clarified that the house was not inhabited.
As everybody knows, so we had a little hurricane here. In the moment of the hurricane, well, I wasn't living in the house, and the house never gave up yet. They was still working on the house, and well, the tap gone. So I imagine something was wrong. That's why the tap gone. But you have several houses right here on the bed that have on top, and the tap never gone. So well, Julia talk for me. So
in the same section, there are other new houses which also suffered the onslaught of the winds without being affected. On the other hand, the company gave their version of what took place.
Is a roof that was in the process of being built on the day of the hurricane. There were positions that contributed to the lifting of the roof. The roof was not yet in place. There were anchorages that were not yet in place, which contributed to the winds entering and making it more likely that the roof would lift up.
The company is committed to making a more robust roof.
We made a technical and social support with the owner, and the idea is that day to day, the guys are working to make a more robust cover, to finish it as soon as possible so that these things do not happen again.
On the other hand, a house that also functioned as a business lost its roof, destroying a large part of the products that were in it. At the close of this broadcast, an interview with the owner of the house was not possible because she is traveling. However, relatives say that the quality of the wood would be the responsible one for the loss of the roof.
And Teleislas News also visited some of the shelter-type houses made of metal and concrete structures to hear from their residents about the behavior of these homes in the face of Hurricane Julia's winds.
Several people with shelter-type houses were visited after the passage of Hurricane Julia Category 1. They talk about the behavior of these houses in the face of winds of more than 70 kilometers per hour.
To be a Hurricane Category 1 and having the risk that we live near right by the bay, the house gone excellent because we will not say it was breezing while we open the window or the door to come outside and see, but really and truly inside the house everything was nice, excellent. I would feel very well secure.
When it come around 8 o'clock we feel it plenty. Down to my bed when they shake, the breeze shake them, the whole house shake. Only part never shaking at this house was the bathroom.
Tell me something, but anything from the house get damaged or anything like that?
No, nothing. Not even water ain't coming if you read. Rest of people house say water come around the window, but nothing never gone wrong with my house.
Well, the house gone good when the hurricane was blowing because I was right on my place sitting down until about maybe 6, 7 o'clock or a little later. And when we went in, a big breeze was coming in. And we went in, and after we get inside and close up, I never feel no breeze at all. I hear the breeze, I hear it tree them and things like that. The house never shake, nor nothing.
Some of the owners had problems with the windows or the doors.
The breeze really was strong. Behind them we feel had a lot of movement, yes. Inside of the house we never feel it that much, but yes, when we come wake up we find say the things them tear down behind, especially the door, the water come in, and just as me, my neighbor them when they complain the same thing, say the pile of water in the house because the door then they tear down, they never go down. They got one window against the bathroom where it really went open and never they
It's important to understand that if necessary, these structures would also serve as shelter for people in the community.
This is all we have for tonight for this section of Old Providence and Catalina. Continue in San Andres, Lisa, with more Teleislas news. Good night.
Thank you, Millie. With news of the municipality, we reach to the end of our broadcast. We see you tomorrow with more Teleislas news. Good night.